Get this thing rolling. Let's see. Oh, here, I could probably set it up. Let me see if it lets me. Here we go. Alrighty, let's see. Hey everyone, welcome to our weekly series of Wednesday webinars. We're waiting on a few more individuals to jump into the webinar here, so we'll give them about 2 more minutes and we'll get an early jump on some of the things that we're going to be covering. If you have any questions from anything we went over on the last webinar or anything that you want to hear about for this webinar, feel free to use the chat that we have for the webinar participants, and I'll be able to answer those questions for you. Thanks, Tracy. We appreciate that. Do you have any specific requests, Tracy? I'm more than happy to touch on that before I get started here. Kind of go into detail on anything, really. Complete beginner. Thanks for your guidance. Absolutely. If you have any questions, Ted, throw them out there. I don't think you're alone as far as being a beginner, so you'd be doing yourself a favor and doing everybody else who's a beginner a favor. So cool, cool, cool. All right, we'll give it about 2 more minutes and then we'll get things going here. And then just since I have you guys on here already, we do have our big launch AI webinar next Tuesday. So I strongly encourage all of you to go on the link that Danny just dropped into the chat and sign up for our webinar. It's probably, and mind you, we've done a ton this year so far. I would say unanimously our best webinar to date. I'd probably even argue the best webinar this company's ever had. So, AI is a huge thing. We've put in so much work and so much effort into that project. It's taken most of the manpower that we have over here to be able to build out what we did on the AI side. So, strongly encourage you guys to join, sign up through the link. Oh, here, Danny. I think you had sent it to the hosts and panelists. Here we go. Let's see. Let me try to. There we go. Okay. Danny included everyone on there, so everyone should have received that link. So if you haven't yet signed up, a ton of value there in and of itself. We go into detail as far as what the AI can do, how it's going to help you in your business. I've played around with it a lot, and me, I'm one of those guys that just likes using ChatGPT for pretty much everything. Not because I'm too lazy to search the web, but because it's just so immediate on how fast I can get answers. And so the fact that we can apply something similar to that with what we're having in our database for annuities, it just makes it so much easier for that process. And so me, I'm generally a guy that just clicks around. We'll type in a question and ChatGPT just redirects me. So it's like one of those things where if you're using that platform, it's very similar to what we're building out, except just more enhanced. And obviously, we're using all of the data that we have through Annuities Genius through that ChatGPT. So it's going to be a ton of fun, super, super cool. If you are a person that lives in ChatGPT, then you're going to love what we're building out for the AI. And then obviously, along with what we're building out with the AI, it's going to complement more tools that we've already created. So you'll see some new additions to the navigator. You'll see some new things to the illustration. I can't spoil everything, but you're going to see how we emphasize the use of AI to be able to educate not just you, but also the client. So very, very cool. I think it's going to be the most insightful webinar and obviously the most exciting one because of AI. So without further ado, let's get started on this week's series of webinar. Again, my name is Juan Lopez. I'm joined here with Danny, and he is my counterpart. He usually does the webinars as well. So we'll switch on and off. If you're new here, thank you so much for joining in. If you are not, thank you so much for joining us back on our weekly webinars. We're going to be covering our marketplace. today. So specifically, we're going to be going into detail as far as what you can do on the sorts, on the changes, on product information, on product research. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask now. That way I can touch on them before we begin. All of this is to say we're going to start with kind of creating the client and then work our way into the sales process as far as how you can do your research. Everything I'm doing today, I don't know if I would show the consumer. So a lot of what I'm going to show you today is what your behind the scenes due diligence would look like. How are you going about doing the product research? How are you going about finding the best product for your client? And so a lot of what I'm going to be showing you is kind of like the homework part. The part after the first call, the part after the discovery call, you take all the client information and then you start running potential scenarios for them. So that's everything I'm going to be covering today. It's more kind of behind the scenes, the homework part of Annuities Genius on how you're doing your due diligence and your research, and then from there, how you can find the best product for your clients. So let me go ahead and drop one poll here. I promise these are going to be pretty short, so they just want me to do these. That way we can capture some data and be able to create better tools off of the questions you guys answer. So if you guys could just answer this quick poll that I've dropped in the chat here, it would help a ton. See, 20% of you have already answered it, so this is fantastic. Yeah, makes my life easier. They said that they were gonna buy me lunch if every single one of you answers this poll, so I need a couple more of you guys to answer this poll, and I get free lunch today. So, if you guys can participate, answer this poll pretty quickly. If I get both polls answered at 100%, they say I'm getting free lunch today. But if not, it's okay. I'll give it a few more minutes here. I have 80% of you done. Almost there. So I might get free lunch and I might share with Danny today. So I'll give it a few more minutes, waiting on a few more people. Okay, so I'm about at 90%. I think 90% they might give me free lunch for that one. So let me go ahead and end this poll here. I should be okay with 90%. All right, one more poll. If I could have 90% of you answer this one again, that would help not just me, but also Annuities Genius a ton as far as being able to build out some cool tools. The next poll is up on the screen. We don't share this data, so everything that you answer is confidential to us. We're just trying to build out some better resources. That way, the polls that we do put up are benefiting you in your workflow. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We have about 70, almost 70-ish people answered the poll. 70%-ish people answered the poll. So if I can get to 90, I think I might be okay. Alrighty, let's see. Okay, awesome. Let me put a stop to this poll here. That would work. Let me go ahead and share a screen with you guys. Oh, I hate to have to do this, but let's see. You know what? I'm not gonna spoil exactly what we're gonna do, but I do not want to switch my account here. So let me go ahead and share this screen here if it'll let me. Let's see. Oh, can it do this? I actually want to see how this would look. This might be something new. Okay, this is kind of cool. Could you guys wait? Could you see me on the screen there, Danny? Okay, that's kind of cool. Okay. So we're trying something new. I'm on the screen here. What you're seeing, if I can move over a little bit. So here we can see I have my client Max Crosby created. If you know anything about football, it's not looking it's looking kind of rough for us right now, but Max Crosby, I have created a client for. So he's 61 years old. He's in the state of Nevada and has 300,000 coming from an IRA. So what's cool is I'm gonna take Max's information and I'm gonna plug it into the platform. And then from there, we're going to be going obviously over the marketplace. So I'm going to be touching on all of the important resources that you can use. That way, when you're doing this research, you know exactly what products you're looking for and why, and which one makes the most sense for your client. So I already populated my client's information in here, so I won't spoil too much of what we're doing on the AI side. But what I want to do is jump into the marketplace. So you'll see this big blue button at the top, marketplace. And so all of the products that I already have selected in my deck are going to be selected here. So what's really cool is every time I'm doing a search, it's only going to show me those products that either I can sell or the ones that I have selected. So here, what you're seeing is our market snapshot. What's really cool about this, and let me kind of just move out of the screen. What's really cool about this is that now we're taking a look at all of the different resources we have. So we have the lifetime income somewhere on this side right here, and then we have the top performing indices to the right of that. And so what you'll notice is the top performing either index options point to point rates or the guaranteed lifetime income. Yeah, fixed rates there, and then the top performing indices in general. So I'll touch on some of these in just a sec, but my primary focus is going to be on the FIAs part. This is a little bit distracting, so let me go ahead and just go a regular screen. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, not like that. Give me just a sec. My apologies. Let me just do the content only. Okay, here we go. So that's a lot better. Now I'm not taking up a quarter of the screen. So here we have all of the different products that we're going to be looking at. And so what's really cool, and you guys can use this analogy as well, is I always position Annuities Genius as like the Zillow for annuities. So when you're using Zillow, it's a lot easier to be able to go in there as a consumer to just plug in certain search criteria and find the home that you think fits your needs the most. And so what you're doing here is the same thing. So that research process, as far as finding the best annuity, now is going to be through Annuities Genius. So not Zillow, but Annuities Genius. And so it works the same exact way. So Zillow has drop downs as far as what filters you can add. So let's say I want a two-story house with a pool. So then all I would do is go into Zillow, plug in two-story house, plug in has pool, and then hit search. So then once I've done that, it's going to show me the two-story home with the pool. And then I can sort it by, the cheapest home, which one fits the budget or which one's the most expensive. And then when you go into that, now you're filtering out certain homes that either don't fit the budget or you just don't like. And so it works very, very similar here for Annuities Genius. I have over 488 different annuities. So then let me begin filtering out some of these options, and you'll see how my goal right here, and this is just off of the cuff. So I'm going to try to go from 488 different annuities to, let's say, 10. So I'm going to go for period here. Let's do a 5-year surrender. Hit apply. So now I'm at 94 annuities. Let's also do more filters. I'm going to go into, let's say, indices. I'm going to search. Actually, no, let's go to reset periods. I'm going to search for annual reset period. Hit apply. So I started with 488. I'm at 91. I might not get to 10 just because there are a lot of carriers. But let's say with here, I want to add, let's say, an income rider. So I'm going to do that, or let's see here. Yep. So I'm going to go with the income rider. And so based off of the annuities that I'm searching for, based off of the information that I have from my client, I know that all of these products have the 5-year surrender, the lifetime income, and an annual reset period. And so you'll see here it has that guaranteed lifetime withdrawal benefit already in the product. So my goal, we did it. So we went from 488 different annuities to the top 10. And so what's really, really cool is you can go through all of these different products and do more research. So if you're comparing 10 different annuities, you can go into each of them here and look at all of the important information. So this right here, what you're seeing is our informations tab. And so the way I got here was just clicking this Augustar button. I just clicked the actual product, and then it's showing me all of the different highlights for this specific product. I have the commissions here. So this is just street level commissions. Here I have the state availability along with what your minimum and maximum investment would look like. Here is your surrender charge schedule. So you'll see your 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then we can see the free withdrawal. So no free withdrawals on the first year, but second year you can do 10%. and then all of the different allocations. So this stuff for my newer people, believe his name is Ted. Ted. Let's see. Yeah, so Ted, I don't know if this part right here makes sense, but we do have some videos that you can watch as far as a breakdown, full breakdown on the allocations part here. We have riders as far as the simple roll-up rate and some fees. So all of the important information we have in the platform here. And so this is our again our infos tab, and you'll see that directly to the right of it. So if I go to the very right, I have this action menu, and you can go to information. We have brochure right here. So we have brochures for pretty much every single product in the platform. And so if you're one of those producers that likes to show the brochure to help in your sales process, we have them for all of the different products. Whether it's an FIA, one with an income rider, or SPIA, we have pretty much all of them in the system. So you'll see all of these here. You can download the brochure, you can open the illustrator. And so the gist of this is now I can do more research depending on the annuities I'm looking for. And then I can do comparisons as well. So if I were to select, let's say, the top three annuities here, I can go into compare, and then you'll see in columns the three different carriers I compared. So I have Integrity Life, August Start, and Bright House. And so it gives me a full breakdown of, let's say, like the term, the surrender schedule, free withdrawals, things like that. Now, this is assuming that we're looking for income. If we're not looking for income, keep in mind, I'm just doing my general homework. So if I'm not looking for income, I can remove the income rider here. I still have my annual reset and my 5-year surrender. So now I still have my 91 annuities. And so through here, what's really cool is if I'm looking for an accumulation based annuity, I have all of these different sort buttons that I can sort by. So I have bonus, name, carrier name, cap. Let's say I want to look at a 5-year surrender with an annual reset that has the highest cap rate. So all I'm going to do is sort by highest cap. And then through here, it's going to show me that the Symetra, Global Atlantic, Ameritas, and Aspida are all very, very competitive as far as their cap rates. So you'll see here in this column, we have the cap, 14%, 12.75. This one has a 5-year rate lock. So if I were to go into, let's say, the Symetra one here, again, I can browse the summary, or if I go into the actual index performance, I can see how this index has been performing since 2020. So very, very interesting to note that this index went live around here. And notice how the S&P from the live date of this index has continued to go up. And this one has stayed flat and even gone down. So super important to note, especially if you're doing your due diligence and your homework on specific indices, specific products. It may have an 18% cap, but the performance on the actual index hasn't been the best. So it's just something to be mindful of. But if I were to go into this and illustrate this product, I can show my client what a potential return could look like as far as the different indices I select. So all I've done is I've opened the illustrator through the infos tab that I've selected on the product here. And so being in the illustration here, I can't click it, but because it has the AI on there, but it'll give you a way to be able to diversify all of the allocations. And so what you'll see is on the hypothetical values, all of that gets taken into account. So I have all of the credited interest rate here, along with what my annual effective rate of return would be. So here is, so on the accumulation part, I really like this hypothetical comparison because it shows what the accumulation value looks like within the product. And so if it performs very well, then you'll see that it does pretty good against the S&P. But something to note is obviously when the S&P goes down, this just stays flat. So that's what it looks like on the illustrator. And you'll be able to do that for pretty much all of these products. Comparison works the very same way. So if I wanted to compare 3 products, I'll just select them, hit compare, and I can download all of this into a report. So everything's branded with your logo. It has all of your information on there. Anything as far as writers or anything like that gets captured in the system. So let me jump into the MYGAs part, and then I will open it up to any questions. think Danny's are answered most of the questions, but cool, cool. Let's see. I'm gonna see if I see anything on there. Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, just click the marketplace up here, and it'll redirect you to this screen. So MYGA is very, very easy to understand, right? What I love doing, and this you could probably use during the point of sale, because what's cool is you could actually show what the earnings could look like to your client directly on the screen. Or if not, you can download the report and send it over to them. But if I were to plug in 300,000 from an IRA in the state of Nevada, let's say I want to go with at least an A-rated carrier or higher, I'll be able to look at what the term is. So this is a 6-year term. So after the 6th year, these are what my earnings would be from the initial 300,000. And so if I were to just limit it to a 6-year term, I can select a handful of products and do a comparison like that. So I'm going to go Anico, I'm going to go Americo, I'm going to go Oxford, and the Pacific Guardian. So let me go ahead and do a side-by-side comparison. And then when I scroll down here, I can show my client what a comparison would look like. But what's even cooler is I've selected those four. Let me hit export to PDF. That way we can see what the earnings would look like for each one of those products. So this is a great point of sale resource. If I were to scroll down on this, let me zoom into this. Here I can see the withdrawals. I can see 5%. This one has 10% in the first year only. And then here it has all of the earnings and then what the rate is. So really, really cool. You can just select a few and then do comparisons. It sorts by the highest rate, and then obviously you have the earnings to the right of that. So let me jump back out of this. And then the SPIAs works pretty much the same way. It's really a plug and play and then just being able to sort depending um on carriers you're looking for. But let me jump back into the dashboard here. Let me see if I have any questions. Great question, Tracy. So I did initially say that most of the stuff on these particular screens I wouldn't show, especially on the FIA part um for the marketplace. Only being that for the general consumer, if you were to put this in front of, if you were to put them in front of this specific screen right here, there's so many numbers, there's so much information to digest. The last thing you want to do is confuse them because we all know that confused people don't buy. So if you put all of these numbers on the screen, you might overwhelm them. I'd say just do your research, select a few annuities, download a report, and then use that as a formal comparison or a formal piece that you can educate them with because there are a ton of different products that show up. So, like I said, if you want, start adding a bunch of filters, limit the amount of products that show up, and then once you select a handful, so I'm gonna go with, let's see here, I'm gonna go with Athene, Eagle, Select, American Equity. I would just export those three onto a PDF. Because then what happens is when I export this, obviously it's branded with all of my information, but it only shows these three. And so it's a lot cleaner and it's a lot easier to digest for the consumer. It has all of the important information just captured on one screen so you can see immediately what the par rate is and what the rate of return has been for this index that's tied to this product. And so some homework that I'll leave you all with is not only using the marketplace, maybe watch the video because the video is going to be super helpful, but it's also this index tracker. So I'll touch very briefly on this before I open it up to questions. But this index tracker is super, super useful, especially if you're one that focuses primarily on FIAs that are more geared towards accumulation, because you can do more research on all of the different indices that are here. And so you'll see these columns, right, with the inception, the year, and what. So this is the annualized rate of return from the same day 10 years ago to the current day. So here, if I scroll down, I can see what the annual effective rate of return has been for the most recent 10 years. So I can go down this list and let's say I want to look at something from here. We'll use, I'm just going to pick a random one here. 2014. Let's see. We're going to go with ooh, Let's go with this one. S&P average DRC 10%. Been live since 2013. Since inception, it's performed at a 7.78. So if I were to go into the five accounts here, I can see all of the different products that have this index. So it's this Mass Mutual, Safe Return, 10-year surrender. It has the par rate right here. So if I were to go into the actual index performance, I can see that year to date, it's been performing very well. We 1 year, 3 year, and then your 5 year terms are also here. And then since inception. So this is, I think, generally a good index. And so you can go into here, illustrate it. You have the annuity info, annuity brochure. And then here is what your most recent 10-year performances look like. So I'm assuming this is from, let's see. I don't know if it's this par rate that gets taken into account. I'd have to ask about that, but that's kind of the general idea. So the homework is this index tracker, play around with it, get familiar with it. One of my personal favorite tools. But other than that, I'm gonna open it up to some questions. So let's see here. Correct, Nathan. Yeah, the less options, the better for the consumer. That's why they have you to do the due diligence, being able to go do the product research for them. Hold on, do AG agents usually close the deal after showing the dashboard screen? Give me just a sec. You guys let me scroll down on this. Uh, Good question. Let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure I understand this correctly. Yeah, so I'd say depending on the tool that you're using, it really just gives you more credibility and it makes the consumer feel a lot safer as far as the option that you're going with and why. But you're being as transparent as possible if you have all of the solutions open. So if you show them every single product, I mean, my question would be, where else would they have to go to find an annuity? What other advisor or other conversations would they have to have with other individuals if you're showing them all of the options on there? Vivian, my apologies. So to get to the index tracker, you'd go into the calculators tab over here and then select index tracker. So once you do that, you'll be redirected to all of the indices. I would go more in it. I mean, I could probably do a webinar, a weekly webinar, and I might on this tool here. But we have the video that you guys can watch. There's so many cool things that you can make adjustments to right here, and we have all of the information tied. So if you have any questions, feel free to go into that. But the index tracker, I think it plays such an important role on the accumulation side, and the way it ties into the performance analyzer, I absolutely love. So I would say get very familiar with it. Try to see how and why I mean that it plays into the performance analyzer a lot. Because it does a really good job as far as research. And when you diversify all of the index options in the performance analyzer, it actually gives you some really good output as far as illustration. So I'd say play around with that. But other than that, get familiar with the marketplace as well. Again, don't miss out on our October 28th webinar. It's going to be right here. So if you're in the system, you'll see our messages to the right. So our CEO obviously is doing we're doing a huge thing. So click this button right here, or if not, Danny has already attached it into the chat. So sign up for it, register for it. I'm gonna be on there for a little bit. I'm gonna just really try to motivate and energize everyone. They said that one does come with free lunch, so I'm good on there. But yeah, feel free to join, ask as many questions. Feel free to call in, email us. Anything that may seem confusing, we're super happy to help. We have I'd say arguably the best customer success line to help you and empower you become the best advisor on Annuities Genius. So if there's any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. But other than that, thank you guys again so much for joining us on our weekly Wednesday webinars. We hope to have you at the Tuesday webinar next week. If you have any friends that know about Annuities Genius or know of us, tell them to register for the webinar. Um, yeah, super happy to have you guys back on these. We'll see you guys next week. Danny's going to be taking it over next week, so we'll be on there. And if you have any questions, happy to help or answer those for you guys. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining. Have an amazing rest of your day.